Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Choda and welcome to this important episode of Ignition Time where I give you important comments, brand new comments from important Senate Republicans, including the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and what he said, and also a Republican senator who said, I quote, "I hope the talks remain broken down." Yes, there was a Republican senator who said that. I'll tell you who that senator was and how you can get in touch with that senator to share your thoughts about his comments if you so choose. Let's get started with the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell now. He's been savaged in the media. He's been extremely unpopular, and I read all the comments and I know that he's not your favorite guy in the world. But the Senate Majority Leader in the past 24 hours in an article on CNBC essentially said, "I think it's time for everybody to get back to the table and let's get a deal done." On Tuesday, he told Fox News that the American people are sick of the stalemate after another day had passed with no formal discussions between Democrats and the Trump administration, and he basically wants talks to resume. Now, again, the Senate Majority Leader is extremely unpopular, but you can see the change in his position. Initially, he had, a red line, and he had he was basically very firm about the fact that he would not negotiate with the Democrats unless liability protection was in place. Then you can see that his position changed and became more amenable to, hey, whatever the administration, lead negotiators from the White House decide with the Democrats, I'm going to go along with. And as you know, that negotiation so far hasn't really gone anywhere. So as you can see on the CNBC article, the Senate Majority Leader wants a compromise. Specifically on his Twitter feed, the Senate Majority Leader said, "Struggling Americans need action now. I'm glad that the president is proving that while Democrats use laid off workers as political pawns, Republicans will actually look out for them." And he issued a full statement, and I will provide you with a link to the full statement in the description section below. In another tweet, the Senate Majority Leader said that he was hoping that they would finalize some major legislation this week because American families are struggling and need help. But he said he put the blame on the Democrats, and he said that he was happy that the president stepped in. So clearly, the Senate Majority Leader is supportive of the executive orders that the president has taken. In another tweet, the Senate Majority Leader wrote that because of obstruction from Democrats, as he called it, the extra federal unemployment aid expired. And he said there's no second stimulus check, there's no paycheck protection program. And all of this was because the Democrats had what he called non-COVID related liberal priorities. In fact, Larry Kudlow, the White House senior economic advisor, said that it was a liberal wish list. Those were his words. And in another tweet, the Senate Majority Leader said that the New York Times reported that Speaker Pelosi was playing hardball, and he said that yes, they are playing, and they're treating this like a political game, and they shouldn't do that because families are suffering, Americans are suffering. This isn't a game, and our country needs Democrats to act. Now you can see the article, the New York Times article, on your screen here, and the article reads, "Pelosi is playing hardball on pandemic relief. She thinks she'll win." So I will provide you with a link to this article in the description section below, so you can go ahead and read the entire article for yourself. And in yet another tweet, the Senate Majority Leader wrote that the Speaker and the Democratic Leader, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, say they won't allow another cent for family schools or the Paycheck Protection Program unless they get $1 trillion government slush fund way beyond the needs of the pandemic, way beyond the needs of the year. And he said these unrelated liberal demands are blocking billions in aid for families right now. So these are words, these are comments from the Senate Majority Leader. Now, on the other hand, you have Ron Johnson. Ron Johnson is a senior United States Senator from the state of Wisconsin, and according to a recent article in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, he said, "I hope the talks remain broken down." Yes, he said that. I hope the talks remain broken down. He would rather see no new stimulus package, no new relief, rather than one that includes new spending. And in an interview on Friday with Breitbart News, he said he hopes negotiations remain broken down between the administration and the Democrats on new relief and on trillions of dollars of new aid that the Democrats were essentially proposing. He said, I quote, "From my standpoint, the breakdown in the talks is very good news. It's very good news for future generations. I hope the talks remain broken down." Now, he does not support any more spending. He does not support any more federal debt, which at the moment is right around $23 trillion, according to the US Government Accountability Office. He instead wants new proposals to spend money authorized by the CARES Act, because all the money in the CARES Act has not yet been fully utilized. So there you have it. That's That's Senator Ron Johnson. And if you want to get in touch with Senator Johnson, I will provide you with the link to his website, and you'll see that on the screen right here. I'll provide you with a link to his website in the description section below, so you can reach out to the senator and let him know your thoughts about what he said. Now let's get back to the Senate Majority Leader. In an exclusive interview with Mountaintop News, the Senate Majority Leader did share some of his comments about the state of the current negotiations and where things stand right now. He does want the both sides, the administration and the Democrats, to come to a consensus. And he said that the unemployment benefit extension has expired, and he said the Democrats seem to be unwilling to fix that unless we give them a whole lot of other things that are completely unrelated to the pandemic. Now, by the way, this is the same statement that's been made by U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, by the Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, by the White House Senior Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow. So it seems like their position is clear. The Republicans don't want the Democrats to ask for stuff that's unrelated to the pandemic. And he did say that the president took the initiative, and what he wants is he wants the country to gradually reopen again. He wants people who need help to get it the most. So that was basically his position. And he ended by saying, I'm hoping the Democrats come back to the table. They seem to have walked away. That's what the Senate Majority Leader said. And he said, I hope that we'll bring them back to the table and we'll get, in his words, an outcome for the American people. He also talked about the importance of funding for hospitals, for universities, K through 12. And he said that he wanted to avoid frivolous lawsuits, which is where the liability protection aspect for businesses and schools would be very important, and hospitals as well. So let's listen to the words of the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Let's watch this.
Well, first of all, I think the president did the right thing and issued an executive order to deal with the unemployment insurance problem. This is extremely important in a time of high unemployment. And the problem we had was that the federal additional payment on top of regular unemployment insurance expired last week, and the Democrats seem to be unwilling to fix that unless we give them a whole lot of other things completely unrelated to the coronavirus. For example, they're pushing for a tax cut for wealthy people in New York and California. So the president actually took the initiative here. I hope that will get us back to the table with the President, Chief of Staff, and the Secretary of the Treasury sitting down with the Democrats, who in the end have to reach an agreement if we're going to get an outcome here. So we desperately need an outcome. The country is suffering through this pandemic. We all know it's not going to go away until we get a vaccine, and no one expects a vaccine before later this year or early next year. As you can imagine, I'm often asked by people, what can I do? I think the single most important thing you can do is wear a mask and practice social distancing and try to prevent the spread, because we've clearly had a resurgence in Kentucky and in other states around the country. So this thing is going to be with us. We can't shut the economy down again. Even Dr. Fauci said we can't shut the economy down again, so we have to live with it. And the best way to live with it responsibly is to wear a mask and practice social distancing. Now, your question was about, will there be a next rescue package? I hope so. The environment is much more political and partisan now than it was back in March and April when we came together to pass the CARES Act, which, for example, for Pike County provided about $22 million, $19 million for the hospital, and $1.5 million for University of Pikeville. We do need another round. It's about time for schools to begin, and we think there needs to be additional money for K through 12 and for colleges and universities. We think there needs to be new money for the popular PPP program for small businesses. 48,000 Kentucky small businesses took advantage of those to the tune of $5.2 billion pumped in to our small businesses. And hospitals need more as well. And we need liability protection to protect doctors and nurses and hospitals and universities and K through 12 from being the subject of frivolous lawsuits during the coronavirus period. All of that has a great sense of urgency about it. And I'm hoping that'll bring the Democrats back to the table. They seem to have walked away, but I hope that'll bring them back to the table and we'll get an outcome for the American people.
Now, in the next segment of the interview, he was asked, has there been any communication, any coordination with the Democrats? And when are talks going to resume? When are you guys going to get back to the negotiation stage? And he said, well, I've been talking to other individuals, to other Republicans, and he said that he got off the phone with people from the administration, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, and he said, we're on the phone with all the Republican conference members, and we're hoping that the talks resume. There's been a stalemate. So let's watch what the Senate Majority Leader said about this.
Well, they aren't talking yesterday and today. I just got off the phone with the administration folks, the Secretary Mnuchin and Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. We're on the phone with all of my members, all the Republican conference members, and we're hoping that the talks resume. There has been a bit of a stalemate the last few days.
And in the final segment of the interview, the Senate Majority Leader reiterated, he emphasized that the effort should be related to the pandemic we are all struggling to get through. He said that as far as Kentucky was concerned, he said that of all the money that was sent down to Kentucky, almost $2 billion, he said only 6% of that was actually spent. So what he was implying was that a lot of money from the CARES Act has still not been spent, but it is important to keep in mind that this is going to be state specific. So you're going to have to contact your state and find out from your state whether the money from the CARES Act was spent or not, because that's going to dictate how things go forward, how the $400 a week lost wages assistance program actually gets implemented. He also said, and yet the Democrats in Washington are asking for another $1 trillion, and he said that's completely unrelated to the emergency. And he did say the American people are tired of the haggling and they'd like to see us come together and get an outcome. I would like to see us come together and get an outcome, but I think that effort ought to be directly related to the pandemic that we're all struggling to get through. Let's watch this clip with the Senate Majority Leader.
Well, there are some big differences. For example, additional assistance for state and local government. Your viewers would be interested to know that of the money we already sent down to Kentucky government, almost $2 billion, only 6% of it's been spent. And yet the Democrats in Washington are asking for another $1 trillion for state and local government. We think that completely unrelated to the emergency we're facing. So there's some big differences. The American people are tired of the haggling and they'd like to see us come together and get an outcome. I would like to see us come together and get an outcome. But I think the effort ought to be directly related to the coronavirus pandemic that we're all struggling to get through.
So there you have it, everybody. The latest comments from the Senate Majority Leader, an important part of this process, even though he's taking sort of a backstage role here, because once the administration works out something with the Democrats, then he's going to get the senators to rally behind whatever proposal, whatever bill that gets generated from the House. He's an important part of this equation, and it seems like he's simply waiting for something to happen. I'm hoping that either the administration or the Democrats come together and make some sort of a compromise, because there are millions of us stuck in between. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something new, please click the like button. If you would like to be a member of our community, please subscribe. Please also enable notifications so you get instant updates about future videos like this going forward. Also, if you'd like to get breaking news and alerts from us on your phone, get your cell phone out. On your cell phone, type out the text ignition or the word time and send that text message to 70,000. That's 70000, and you'll get added to our alerts list and you can opt out at any time. Also, we'll ask for your email and we'll send you an email once you agree to a quick disclaimer, and you can opt out of that at any time as well. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week, and we look forward to having you on our channel and being a part of our rapidly growing community. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please click subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video at Ignition Time.